Okay, over here you have your dark slide. This is kind of like your lens cap. It protects your film from being exposed, and you won't be able to remove your backing plate without this piece in there, and you won't be able to shoot with this piece in there. So you have to remember to take this out for shooting and then put it back in order to get out your film. To get out your film, what you need to do is use this little knob over here. So again, this knob will not work if this is pulled out. Oop. If it's pulled out, see, it's locked. It won't let me pull it out. So you have to remember to put this in. Where he goes, it goes between these two little white lines. There you go. And now you can remove your back by this thing. And just remember that this thing is at the bottom of your camera. So if it's on a tripod, it's a little bit hard to see. So just be aware that it's at the bottom there, and you can remove it while it's on the tripod, or you can take it off the tripod and then flip it over and pull this back. Now it's useful to remember that this is in the back, because once it comes right off, it's good to remember that's how it goes back on. This little lever thing is at the bottom of the camera, where the tripod plate is. Cool. So we could put this aside gently. And here's our backing plate. And our dark side won't come out now, which is good. So to remove the film back, we need to pull on this little these little tabs over here. And this is where you can spool in your film. Now you can remove this piece as well. So what happens when you shoot is you'll have your roll of film in here, and you'll have a spool over here. Let me put that back in. And the roll of film will be unwound. We'll start winding up here, and then it will fill this thing up. And then what you'll be left with is an empty spool on this side, with all your film on this side. So what you'll do is you'll take out your film, and you'll be left with an empty spool over here, which will look like that. So when you get a camera, this spool holder, this spool might be over here on this side, but if it's on this side, you'll need to move it on to this side. So you might get it in either side. I'm not sure how you'll get your camera. Depends on how it was left before. You gotta be gentle yet careful. All right. Sweet. So this is how you want to get started. Now you'll be using this is probably a good time to change your ISO meter. Again, this does not do anything, just like in 35mm. This is just to remind you what film is loaded into your camera. So you'll probably be using HP5 400, and it'll say on the, so this is an HP5 400, this is an expired film, but you can see it says 400 on it, maybe. Yeah, well, I'm sure your thing will say it as well, and you'll be able to see it there. So I'm just going to put it on 400 ISO, and that will just remind me, hey, this is the type of film that I've used in there. Okay, now let's show you how to roll in some film. So I'll just open this up. Watch this take me 10 minutes. There we go. Cool. You'll have to break off this little seal. There it is. Have a little bit of a tab. Just pull that off, and you can remove this. Now with 120 film, you kind of want to hold on so there's a bit of tension, because if you just let go, it might unwind a little bit. So you just kind of, and it will expose your film as well. So you just want to kind of always give it like a little bit of a tight hold. And it's actually recommended that you do this process in a dark area, just so you don't get any light leaks, because what could happen is if you like let it loose a little bit, this isn't the film yet, there's still quite a bit for it to wind, but it might let a little bit of light through here, so it's recommended that you're in a, not like pitch black, but just like in a darkish area, just not in broad daylight. But just remember, kind of keep it a little bit tight. Alright, so to load it, you'll see down here there's a arrow that shows you which way the film should be wound. So it's going around this way, and then what it's going to happen is it's going to go around the back of the carrier. So I'm just gonna, while pressing this button, I'm gonna notch in the top first, so the top goes in first, and then you let loose until it's in there, and then now you can see that it's being wound the way the arrow showed, and you just go around until you reach this side. And you feed it in the little gap in the spindle. Whoop. There you go. Once it's fed in through a little bit, and see how I'm holding and kind of keeping this relatively tight. And now I'm just going to start winding it in. And now the tension here should start keeping this tight on its own. And what you want is you want this arrow to line up with this arrow down here. So we need to wind it a little bit more for it to reach that point. So you wind it carefully until they line up. I overshot a little bit because I was staring at the camera, but that's about right. Okay, and now you're good to go. You can start putting it back the way it was. So if you're curious how this all works, the film will be here once it's rolled out of there, and it'll be here. This plate will be gone, and that's where it'll expose the film. And your shutter is there, and that's what's going to be flapping up and down to take your photos. So it's got a little bit of a guide. This little metal piece over here should go into these holes. So that's probably where you should aim. There we go. Then you can close this. Now you'll see it doesn't latch on. What you need to do is you need to press very gently, just push it in and push these little tabs in, one on this side, one on this side. And then it should be pretty secure. And then you can remember how I said the bottom should be there. Takes a little bit of aiming to get it in. Whoop, there we go. Oh, sorry, self-shot. So then it latches in, and then you just flick the switch again, and you're good to go. So you'll see over here it says S. That S means start, I think. So what we need to do is we need to get it to shot 1, and to do that you just start winding this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull this like that, and you'll see as I do this, so now it's moved, it's no longer an S, it's on 1, which is pretty good. But I'm going to wind it again. Sorry, it wasn't on 1 yet. Okay, there it is, that's 1. So I just kept winding until it stops, and then that's ready. It's ready for your first shot. So before you go shooting, you need to pull this out, and then that's what was protecting your film from being exposed from the camera, which is like your lens cap. And now you could just slot it into here, like that, and now it's ready to be shot. And then once you're done filming, you put that right back in there. This is your lock. You can bring it onto the R by just spinning this little dial to the red light or the red marker. That's lock, so you won't be able to shoot. And then if you want to unlock it, you just rotate it there so it's unlocked. So I just took a shot, so I'm going to shot number 1 has just been shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank this one more time. And now it's the second shot. And then again, make sure that's on the little white dot, and you could just fire. That's shot number 2. Shot number 3, etc. Shot 9. Shot 10. Cool. And then once you've reached shot 10, and you've shot number 10, it's not going to let you wind it anymore because you're done. So now you just got to unload it. Make sure that your film slide is back in there. Your dark slide, sorry, is back in there. And you could pull off your backing plate. You could also spin this around just for extra measure. Make sure that all that film's covered. And then we can remove just the exact opposite of how we put it on. You just pull these little tabs. There you go. And now your entire film is in this take-up spool. And you pull it out the exact same way. You could take off this film carrier here. There we go. You could just pull this off. So once you have your film out, it'll have this little exposed line on it. This lets you know that this has been exposed and you've already shot on this film, so you can't shoot on it again. And it's also for you to make sure that you develop it. It's ready for developing. You want to keep this, as always, tightly wound because there isn't much that's kind of holding it to place. So you don't really want to ever let it go and move it around like this because it might just slowly unravel. So what you want to do is you want to stick it in there somehow. Now with Fujifilm, you see it says lift tab to reveal self-adhesive, and it gives you a little bit of a diagram to look back here where there's this little pull tab. So this will reveal the adhesive, and this will just help me stick it. On some films you might have to give it a little bit of a lick to kind of get it to stick there if it doesn't have its own self-adhesive. So let's just do this. Pull this tab up. What you're going to see, what's going to happen is it's going to pull to the end, and then there we go. And then you just tightly wind it all the way. And hopefully this is not too old and it'll still be sticky. There you go. And there's your film. And then once you're ready to expose it, to develop it, you'll be pulling that back off. Cool. And that's how you unload your Mamiya.